Hey, Mike.
Oh, hey, Tim, how you doing?
Yeah,
I was just reading this book here.
Unspooled, it says.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you heard
Rings
of
a
this? It's
bell.
by this guy named Tim Derling, and he's sort of an expert on 8-tracks.
Who the heck would write a book about 8-tracks?
You'd have to be, I think you would have to be an obsessed collector, which may be a theme today.
Yes. And guilty as charged. Thank you for that, Mike. That's really cool. Welcome, everyone, to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. My good friend Mike Ladano, the LeBrain Train himself, has pulled up into the station with a Tim's coffee, proudly Canadian. There you go. I know there's Tim's on the border. I know I cross the border in Maine, there's Tim's. And we're making our way down south. But anyway, yeah.
In the UK now too, eh?
Really?
Yeah.
Folks, Canada's taking over. One double at a time. There you go. Always fresh. I wish that were true. But anyway. So Mike and I, we've been talking about doing this episode for quite a long time. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun because we're talking about the same thing, but it's different. We're talking about rare CDs on this episode. And what I have are a lot of CDs that are rare because they're older pressings, or I think they're older pressings. And what Mike's got are the CDs that he replaced his older pressings with that have gone on to be rare in their own right. So we're kind of going to go back and forth. We're going to group them. So it's just a little bit, we can get kind of in a groove. So rare CDs. So before we get started, Mike, and I'll let you start showing your CDs off.
Oh, cool.
We talked about this previously. So you probably started buying CDs before I did. I never owned a CD until the end of 1990. So
I was a year earlier. I got my CD player for Christmas of '89. And one of the big driving motivators to getting a CD player was the elusive CD bonus track.
Yes.
And there was an album out there by a band called Winger, and it had a CD bonus track. And I recall in my very first batch of CDs that I got for that Christmas was Dr. Feelgood, Winger, Whitesnake, Snakebite, and Alice Cooper Trash, which I ordered from Columbia House. They all kind of came in the same grouping, and that was my first batch, '89.
Yeah, I remember the first two CDs that I remember with bonus tracks was Winger, that had Higher and Higher on it, and also Van Halen's Zoe 812, which had a Political Blues on it. So a lot of times what would happen is record companies they were trying to sell CDs. They were really pushing CDs because at the time CDs were more expensive than records or cassettes. I would say on average $10-12 more than the same
20,
album would
upwards, be north of $20.
Yeah, because seems to me, if I recall correctly, records and tapes cost about the same.
About the same.
You know, it'd be if it was $11.99 for a CD or a cassette, it'd be $19.99, $20.99 for a CD. And CDs were expensive. And like we didn't have a CD player in the house until the end of 1990. So it was Christmas 1990 for me. But these bonus tracks, which were usually B-sides of singles, I know because Apolitical Blues was the B-side of Black and Blue.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure Higher and Higher was the B-side of Madeleine, or
probably.
So that when I got a CD player, then those were definitely some of, they were on my list. I needed to hear those songs. Again, this wasn't there was no YouTube, there was no eBay, you couldn't just hear the stuff. You had to physically go out and find it. So so through all of that, ended up getting a bunch of albums on CD. Sometimes I'd buy them used, or sometimes I'd happen upon them in a store. And this is going to be some fun stories about that.
Yeah.
But Mike, on the other hand, we all know, anybody knows anything about Mike, he loves his bonus tracks. And I do too, but Mike got to have the bonus tracks. So if it comes down to replacing a CD that's got 5 bonus tracks on it, the original 10, 11 song album, the new shiny new one is going to be the one. And I think Mike will tell you he's expressed a little bit of regret, and maybe not just buying the new one, maybe not just keeping both. Right. So Mike, tell us about that, and then maybe get us started.
Well, I think in this day and age, space is sometimes more of a commodity than the money itself. And so I have sacrificed CDs to the CD gods in order to, you know, upgrade to the latest deluxe edition or remaster or Japanese import, whatever version had the most tracks. And I do regret that, because now I'm in this new community here where I'm meeting folks like you, and there's a bunch of cool people on Twitter as well. But I've noticed your Instagram specifically, you'll do happy birthday to Alex Van Halen, and you'll have 4 different versions of a Van Halen album. And I say to myself, you know, there's a time where I had that on cassette. There was a time where I had that original CD, and they're all gone. And space being what it is, there's nothing I really could have done differently, but I sure do wish I had kept some. But having said that, you're right. I do go for the bonus tracks. I like to, in terms of being a completist, I consider my collection complete when I have a physical copy of everything that the band has ever physically released officially. Then you can augment that with bootlegs and promos and weird things like that, as you're well aware.
Yeah.
But you know, as far as my collection goes, I've always tried to get all the B-sides, all the live tracks, remixes, blah blah blah. And I guess that's where I should kind of start. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's a good place to start as any. You know, one thing I regret getting rid. You know what? We'll get rid of it. We'll get into this later, but there's something there are things I really regret getting rid of, but we'll talk about that.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get there. But I'll pull my first batch of CDs that I set aside out of this cool bag that I got with that book that I showed you earlier.
Very nice.
Now these are something of a relic of the past. The 3-inch CD.
Wow.
These are all singles or EPs. And I'll just take this Queen one out of the sleeve. I put it in this sleeve itself. I believe, if memory serves, when I used to see these at retail, they came in a long box.
Okay.
But you're familiar with Queen's first EP.
Yeah, I've never owned that on anything. I don't think there's anything different on it, but it's still really cool. I think that came out in 77 originally in the UK on EMI. But I've heard of 3-inch CDs. I've never known anyone that's owned them. Of course, it would be you, the first person I meet that has them. Those are awesome. About what time period did you start seeing these, Mike?
89. We had,
wow.
I don't know if you have Dr. Disc out east or had Dr. Disc out east, but we had Dr. Disc in Ontario, a lot of them. One in downtown Kitchener, and we had a Sam the Record Man. And Dr. Disc tended to really cater to the import stuff.
That's
Queen's
so
first
cool.
EP. Here's Crazy Little Thing Called Love. There's the B-sides, Spread Your Wings, and the Flash theme.
Nice.
Another one, Bites the Dust. I love that photo.
Me too.
Jumping. I also like the sidebar there, the 3-inch CD maxi single.
Maxi. And they're reproducing the original single covers, which is awesome. Ooh, Dragon Attack. Love me some Dragon Attack. Yeah, good. Those are good songs. They're and this is, by the way, yeah, folks, these are Parlophone EMI. I can see these are predating the Hollywood reissues from 1991, which I'm going to get into that later. How those took over.
I'm looking for a year of release, but what I do see is that these are one of 12 in the Queen 3-inch CD single series. So I got lucky. I bought these at my own record store after I had quit. I went to visit and I found these on the shelves, and I immediately said to the staff, I'm like, nobody called me.
Yeah.
But I snapped up those 3, and that was all they had.
Do you know what those remind me of, Mike? And I'm pretty sure you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Those tiny little CD covers, those remind me of Chew Bops. You know what I mean? But remember the gum that was shaped like a record and had miniature sleeves that came out turn of the 80s?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Chew Bops, there's this, they came out with this series like 79, 80, 81, around this time period. I vaguely remember seeing some of them, and they were shaped like a record cover at the front and back, and the gum inside was this round pink disc. And they're highly collectible in certain circles. If you're a KISS fan, you want Dynasty and Unmasked. If you're a Rush fan, you want Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures. They did a Clash. I think they did the Clash. They did an Elvis series. They did a Beatles series. Lots of popular albums of the day, like Blondie and Devo. And so, yeah, that's what those reminded me of.
I'm going to throw 3 more at you here. This is a very old one. Very old indeed.
Right on. Every Rose Has a Thorn.
And look at this weird little plastic, and I have to be careful because it doesn't hold the disc in very well, but this weird little plastic clamshell case that it comes in. One moment. The moment that I want it to open, there we go. It's a weird little plastic clamshell case.
Wow.
So this is an EMI.
Look at it. And it's got living for the minute. Look at that. A, B side. That's why I bought the remastered. Well, yeah. Right on.
Nice little paper printed sleeve that's a sticker. 8-track style. This is 8-track style.
Sticker. Yeah, exactly. Huh.
Here's another from 1990. Do you remember this band from Scotland? Gun?
Yeah. Taking on the World. Yeah. Taking on Better Days, I think, was the video that Much Music used to play.
And there's the 12-inch mix on the B side and a cover of Don't Believe a Word by Thin Lizzy.
Nice.
Check this out. You ever seen a case that looked like this before?
No.
Isn't that bizarre?
Wow. That's cool, man. That's really cool. No, I've never seen it. No, we didn't have what you say, Dr. Disc.
Yeah.
We didn't have them. I never saw them in Fredericton or Moncton or St. John, certainly not Woodstock. We had Sam's, ANA's, Radioland. And those are the only ones that come to mind.
Dr. Disc's major, to me, the drawback of buying something at Dr. Disc was their horrible price stickers. They used these price stickers that were also like security tags, and they left this horrible red residue all over whatever you just bought. And I think I have eliminated all the red residue over the years, so I've none to show you.
Got to bust out the Goo Gone.
What's that?
Got to bust out the Goo Gone for that.
Oh, so much Goo Gone.
Well, I remember in the 90s, especially US CDs, they'd have those dog bone shaped silver things that would go like around those would always leave residue behind. You'd have to, or sometimes, Mike, I would just flat out get blank cases and just say, "Oh, the heck with it! It's not worth it." But every once in a while, you'd get one that was that was really specific to that album, right?
Right. Like I didn't have a backstock of those little slimline CD single cases, so I had to make do with what the disc came in.
Yeah.
Speaking of cases, here's another unique one. This is the last one of my tiny CDs. This is odd. You ever seen one of these?
No.
It comes in its own specifically designed jewel case. This is
one mini disc to rule them all.
This is this is not a CD precisely. This is a CD-ROM. This is what they used to call a B card, because this was designed to be a business card. The idea was you're a fancy business executive, and you're much fancier than just having a business card to hand to your client. So you hand them a B card, which is a digital business card. And so this is just I believe it's an exclusive little video that you can play on your PC. It came out the exact same time that Lord of the Rings came out on DVD.
Okay.
This I think was like a store exclusive add-on. If you bought Lord of the Rings at a specific store, don't ask me which anymore. It came into my store and I grabbed it. I'm like, yeah, I don't even need to play it. It's just cool. But it is cool. Literally a little rectangular CD. And like I said, these were called B cards because they were conceived as an alternative to a business card.
Now, Mike, when you slide that CD onto your finger, do you disappear?
I haven't tried that because I've been, there are other side effects besides the invisibility that we don't want to go into.
Right.
But anyway, that's what I had for my very first batch of discs that I wanted to show you today.
Off to a good start, Mike. Those these are educational. Those Queen ones, especially I love Queen. So we've got some Queen to talk about here. So the first batch that I've got to talk about are all CDs on Atlantic or Atlantic associated labels. And I'm going to start off with these two in memory of the late Ian MacDonald, who just passed away. This is Foreigner's first album at Head Games, and then I'll do it one at a time. Now, this was at a point sometime, I'm not sure when in Canada, anything that was on WEA, Warner Electra Atlantic associated labels, this is not a sticker. This is right on the sleeve. This you don't get. It's part of it, So this, of course, Foreigner's first album from 1977. What I find interesting about this one is that the copyright It says, it doesn't say 1977. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says 1984.
It does. Yes, I see that.
So that tells me this is pretty old for a CD. So there's that one. And Head Games doesn't have the copyright date situation, but it does have the Warner on it. And it's almost on the back. It's like they had no idea what to do with, you know, they didn't try and reprint. So, I mean, this is the actual back cover, right? And they'd have all the information up here. Not a lot of information, no lyrics or anything like that. But I've got a few that are reminiscent of this. And then another theme of this is albums that aren't necessarily rare. You can go out and buy them now, but you won't find those versions of them. And then there are ones that are just plain rare. And I just happened to find this one, and it was one that I had been looking for. This is Fraley's Comet Live Plus One from '88, a great little live EP. And this is on Megaforce Atlantic. This is a US copy. Very, very rare.
Yeah.
And this one actually has a hole punched in it. And it was one of those things, you're in a part of the store that's not the music part. And there's some cheap CDs. Used to happen with cassettes too. And those were happy times. And so there's the disc itself. Next one is just a rare album because it didn't sell. It's Bad Company, Fame and Fortune. This is a US copy on Atlantic. I just happened to find this at a pawn shop. Not a great album, but of course I had to have it, right? You know. Yeah. Now another one, you and I both really, really like this album. It's Yes, Drama.
Oh, Drama. I just played it yesterday at work.
Yeah, so it's my favorite. It's my favorite Yes album. So it's got the Warner sign on it because, you know, Warner, Elektra, Atlantic. It's all We Music in Canada.
Yeah.
This is actually a Canadian copy, which is kind of rare. And because you don't always see these, it's actually got a little bit of work put into the back cover.
Yeah.
And, you know, just usually the booklets they get right, you know, as what the gatefold would be. Oh, next one. Next, not only is it, could be, well, it's one of my favorite EPs. The first Rat EP.
I don't have that on CD.
This is rare, rare, rare. I'm going to say right now, I'm guessing Atlantic Records does not own this because it never gets reissued. Tracks from it rarely appear on releases. Yeah. I don't know who owns the rights to this, but I was fortunate enough to find a very brief CD issue of this from, I think, 1987.
Is that 7 tracks or 6?
It's 6. There's nothing extra on here. Now, there's a few things that make me wonder about this. You see how it looks a little off in the alignment? I don't know if you could tell that or not, but
the red ring?
Yeah, or it's like the printing. It's just a little right of everything else. That makes me wonder if this isn't a counterfeit. But here's the thing, Mike. They fooled me. I don't care. It sits on the shelf, and I've got, you know, CD versions of Sweet Cheater and You Got It, and I just love this EP to death. So
it's great.
The surprise possession. And my last Atlantic CD and the last of this first batch before we switch it back to Mike is reportedly this is one of the first CDs to ever be deleted, which is odd because this album went gold. Twisted Sister, Come Out and Play. This is the original US Atlantic version. Contains bonus track. Look at that. King of the Fools, which was also on the cassette.
Yes, it was.
But not on the record. So yeah, this is just a US version. There's a slightly different look to this CD, especially around here. These were when CDs were manufactured in West Germany for sale in the US, where, you know, right around before all of the record companies had their own US printing facilities. It's got all the credits and lyrics. Like, it's full on credits and lyrics and everything that was with the record, except it doesn't have the pop out of D. But
now that is something that needs to be addressed on a further, there needs to be another CD reissue of that. I have a one from the late 90s.
The Spitfire?
Yeah. But they need to do a digipack with a replica of the D opening up.
Totally.
It's amazing that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, totally. They need to do that. So yeah,
that's counterfeits, Tim, and I want to show you. I'm going to show you two, and I don't know the story here, and maybe a viewer can give me some feedback.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
I paid $30 a piece for these, and I'm pretty sure that you've never seen them on CD before. You ready?
Yeah.
Do you like this band?
Oh, I know what it is. It's the early
Right.
It's the first two Quiet Riot that
Yeah.
only came out in Japan.
Right. There they are. There they are on CD. They sound decent. Like they don't sound like vinyl rips. You know how when you buy a counterfeit CD and it's a vinyl rip, you can tell there's no crackle.
Okay.
On the back, or sorry, on the disc itself, promotional copy only, not for sale. I don't know what the deal is here. It's got full lyrics.
Wow.
Not much of a booklet to speak of. It's just a fold out.
Right.
I do not know what the deal is. I believe these are most likely bootlegs rather than promos, but I do not know for certain. And I would love if a viewer had any knowledge of these. $30 a piece at a record show in, I want to say London, year 2000. And I came home with these, not believing my luck. Now you're probably familiar with an album that was officially released called The Randy Rhoads Years.
Rhino put that
in 93. Every single track except for one on that CD is remixed. The concern was the Rhoads family felt, and rightfully so, to be honest, felt that the songs on these are not up to the quality that the fans are used to hearing from Randy Rhoads. They were very concerned about the tarnishing of Randy's legacy by re-releasing these albums directly. So Kevin DuBrow went to extreme measures to remix and improve these tracks. He re-sang everything, rewrote lyrics on almost everything, resampled the drums. Randy was never happy with his guitar sound on these albums, so Kevin reamped his guitars through Carlos Cavazos Marshall amps and tried to dial in a sound that was more like what Randy achieved on the live Randy Rhoads tribute recording. Yeah. So he went to extreme measures to remix and improve the tracks. And I'd say he did a good job, because if you hear these, they're not very good. You could make one good album out of both of these.
Okay. But still,
I got him, I got him on CD quality with no audible scratchiness. So I don't know the story. Somebody did a really good job of releasing these. Whether they truly are promos, I'd love to know, but I'm thinking counterfeits.
Considering that they came out on Sony in Japan only. I mean, it wouldn't be, because they're such leaders in the technology. It wouldn't be unheard of to think that they would have put them out. But I happened to see when you held up one of the discs, the promo number QR 1192. Well, QR is obviously Quiet Riot, so it's almost like it's just a made up number. So yeah,
right, 1192, and this one's QR 880.
I mean, do you suppose that meant this was done in November of 92?
But then what is 880?
Yeah, I know. It's won't spend too many breaks. Let's try to figure that out. But yeah, that's really cool.
Definitely.
Well, that's another thing. Like there are these handful of albums, because most things get reissued over time.
Right.
But like that Rat EP, there are a few things that just dangle there, and you're like, when are we going to see this? Come on. Like, even, and it doesn't even matter to me if it's stuff I've already got. Like, why isn't KISS the Originals on CD? Why isn't Rush Archives?
Why isn't Ozzy Osbourne's Mr. Crowley EP?
Exactly. That would have made a good one of those 3-inch ones.
But I don't know what the deal is there. That one, it like people used to say to me when I worked at the record store, they used to say, I don't need vinyl anymore. Everything's on CD. And I would just laugh and I'd say, dude, you have no idea how wrong you are.
It's not. No, it's not.
Having said that, Tim, I do want to say CD has numerous advantages, including the instant ability to rip it to your drive and play it in your car. But bonus tracks are so much more common on CD. You can't buy the Whitesnake Restless Heart Deluxe Edition on vinyl. So there will always be a need for CDs in my collection, no matter what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Why don't you go ahead? I haven't figured out what I'm going to show you next.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, so that's a segue in a way, because Quiet Riot, we're a CBS Sony band.
Okay.
So what I've got is a pile of CDs that came out on CBS Records, and this is before CBS was merged with Sony, which happened, I think, in 1991. And anyone who's bought CDs in Canada on CBS knows that there's a difference between their US counterparts. So let's start with this one. This is Survivor Too Hot to Sleep. Came out in 1988.
That's right.
And if people are familiar with the way that the CBS CDs were written, I believe it's the Impact font. That's the font that they used, a very specific font. But in Canada, it was just this plain font. Didn't have that certain shape. But what really separated the Canadian CBS CDs were the back covers. So if you were to get the CD in the US, the back cover of the CD itself would probably be this, which is the back cover of the record. But they didn't do that in Canada. They do what I call the box format.
Right.
Which is they just have this kind of an ugly looking design box with all the song titles in them. I used to hate these. Now I want them.
Right.
So I happened to find this CD, which is a rare album. It wasn't successful. I found this in a Radioland that was going out of business in probably 98. And it was still in its, not a long box, because it wasn't a cardboard box. It was still in its plastic long box, like the blister pack.
Oh, yeah.
That shows you how long this had been kicking around, and it was underneath the rest of the regular stock. And I think I paid $20 for it. So I was glad to get that.
The way I remember those plastic long boxes, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would have the disc down here with no cover, and then they would have the cover up here in a separate compartment, almost like you were buying a Mick DLT and you had to put it together yourself.
Yes, yeah, that's what all of the Polygram CDs came like that until a certain point. Like you couldn't find the actual cardboard long box for them, which brings me to my next point. When I first started buying CDs was the end of 1990. I probably had 24 long boxes. I wish I kept my long boxes. I could still remember all the long boxes I had. I had cut up, I had Y&T Contagious and Yesterday and Today Live. I had cut the fronts off and had them on my wall. I even wish I'd have kept those, just the fronts of them. Huge environmental waste. And the only reason that they made them was because they didn't know what to do with CDs. They wanted them to be the same height as records. And those blister packs were total waste of space. And there was nothing to save. Or you just get the generic label ones with the window in it where the CD itself sat. Those didn't have any value on it. But the ones with the artwork on them, those are collectible now, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I had a Helix over 60 minutes which was on Capital EMI. And one thing I do remember about the long box is that it had information on the long box that was not on the CD jewel case about the bonus tracks. And
almost like a DVD, like one of those slip cases, or or one of those stickers that would go on the outside of the case or something like that. Yeah.
Something of value. Something of value to the packaging. Added value.
Yeah. So the next thing I've got to show you is really, really old. I got this used, so I don't know where it comes from, but it's a Cheap Trick Heaven Tonight. And this is another, it's pretty faded. This is another old CBS CD. Again, the box. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hopefully you do now, because the actual back is this.
Right.
But this is the first time I found a CD, and you'll remember this from buying cassettes in Canada, that CBS cassettes on the side had CBS and the label information in raised letters. Well, they actually did that with their too, and I don't know how well this is going to show up.
I see it,
but
I see it.
It's the same as was on those old cassettes. So there's a CBS logo here, and then the label information and the address and all that. I couldn't believe that. I was like, wow, that's
totally.
The other thing about these old CDs is that they're very, very quiet. You got to turn them up loud, to listen to them. They sound fine once you turn them up loud, but I mean that's where the remastered gets it. So I got another cheap trick one. This one's really rare because the album's rare.
Can I ask you a quick question, real quick?
Yeah.
The box that you're talking about, the box style. Were you saying that was exclusive to Canada?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah. That and the fact that it was written different on the side than the US CDs would be. So this is the Doctor.
The opposite.
this is a rare album anyway, because it wasn't successful. So this is a Canadian copy, and it too is the only other one I have that has the raised CBS on here. So yeah, and again, it's a box format.
Very
nice. You're definitely dealing with a Canadian copy here. I'll speed up a little bit because these are basically the same. This is Heart Greatest Hits Live from 1980. It's just called Greatest Hits on the side. There you go. Live? Half of it's live.
Okay.
Like the side one is studio tracks, the best of, and side two is some live stuff.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The first Europe album, originally released in '83, but not released in North America till '89. I happened to find this used, pretty rare.
Funny story about that. The summer of '89, my buddy Bob says, Mike, there's a new Europe album out. You got to get it. And I was very confused because obviously I knew it was the debut, but the dates, I was like, why? I didn't understand at the time.
It took me by surprise when I found it in the record store too. And it's a different cover too, but I actually like this cover better. This is one I borrowed from my son. I found this for him used when he started to get into Aerosmith. So this is a Canadian CD of Rocks.
Yeah.
No, Rocks in quotations for some reason. And
weird.
It's a box CD. Which is, I thought that was kind of cool. And I've also got this one, Gems from 88. 88, 89 is about when you stop seeing these. Might be some from 1990. I don't have any. Total 4. This is another Canadian one.
What is there something written on with pen on the back there? Or?
Yes, I bought it used. It's for some reason next to Africa, it says Arrow 457, as in a timing, Arrow 11.7, Arrow 32.4. No idea. Maybe it's a treasure map. I don't know.
Code.
Yeah. And let's see. So that's all the box ones that I've got to show. I've got 2 more CBS ones. A little preview of our episode in another couple of weeks. Journey Frontiers.
Yeah.
I happen to find this one used. This is from the UK. I don't know how rare this is. This could have been just the regular UK version of Frontiers, but this happened to be the one that I found. And so this, CD looks totally different than a US one would.
Yes.
And finally, this one blew my mind once I realized exactly what I had. Because like I said, those Canadian, the box style, that's all there was for CBS CDs in Canada. I've got one that predates that, whenever they started doing it. So even those cheap trick ones with the embossed CBS, those are pretty old. I think I found one that's older.
Okay.
This is Kansas Monolith from 1979. If you'll notice on the side, this looks like a US CD because it's got the impact font. That's usually what people are used to seeing on old CBS CDs. But this is Canadian. On the bottom here, it's got the CBS Records Canada, Don Mills, Ontario for an address. So this is really old.
Yeah.
This is the only one I've got like it. So yeah, that's cool. The kind of thing that, you can go, I could order Monolith now if I wanted to, but I wouldn't find this version. It's the only one I've ever seen like it. It's the only CBS Canada CD I've seen from the 80s that isn't the box style. Very strange.
That's cool, Tim. I never saw that before. And I worked, well, I shouldn't say I never saw that before, but I have no memory of seeing that before. I worked in used CDs for 12 years. So a lot of stuff has filtered through. But as far as pricing goes, we would use those box CDs and we would mark them down because the remasters were considered more desirable.
Yeah. And there's some very, very rare CDs too that would have only come out in Canada. And one of the most, and it's been reissued since then, but before it was reissued, one of the most highly desired ones was Platinum Blonde Standing in the Dark, which actually exists as that CD, that box CD.
Which is we used to sell that for
$300.
$100. We used to sell for $100. Yeah. Alien Shores was about $50.
Yeah. Alien Shores, I've seen US CDs of Alien Shores. On Epic, not Columbia. Figure that out.
Different subsidiary.
Weird. And we're getting way off the rails here, but too, artists that only were in Canada, they would have a different numbering system than the US. So
that's true.
That's my CBS CDs. I will say this: there is one CD that I had to show, but I'm going to save it.
Okay.
For a couple of weeks. I'm going to save it for a couple of weeks because it's a mind blower.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to show you next. I'm going to show you a batch of some of my rarer box sets. I mean,
Cool.
I've got some really rare box sets behind me, but I picked out some neat ones. And this one here, I just added to the pile. It's recent. It's only a couple of years old, but it goes for $750 on Discogs. The Harem Scarem Ultimate Collection.
I have never seen that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14 CDs, 14 albums. Wow. I ordered this when I guess it would have been 2019. And I believe everything went, the record company went bankrupt or something. A lot of people didn't get theirs.
Wow.
Now, unfortunately, this is not a complete collection of music from these years. I had to hang on to a huge chunk of my Harem Scarem Japanese imports and other assorted Harem Scarem albums. I donated a bunch of my old ones to a buddy, but this is a huge chunk of Harem Scarem. There are bonus tracks in a number of these. And like I said, $750.
Probably just there was such a small pressing of it, right?
Yeah. So wow. Even though this is a recent, 2019 is the year on it, even though this is a recent one, I decided to show it off because apparently it is quite desirable.
Wow.
That's the most recent really cool one I'll be showing off today.
I love that band, and I'm actually missing a few of their CDs. They're not easy to find.
Hang on a second, I'll show you something.
And here we are in Canada, where this band is from too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I'm getting
sure. Oh. If people are still following along, you must have the same disease that we have, because I know we're getting way into the very much the minutia of CD collecting. Oh,
here's the rest of my Harem Scarem, including
right
the Blind Vengeance album, and I've got the Hess album here too, Japanese import. These are all virtually all Japanese imports.
I was going to say I can see the first album very distinctly, but it looks different than mine.
It's not the first album.
Oh, it's not.
Actually, this would fit as one of our rarities here. Harem Scarem Acoustic Sessions Limited Edition.
Nice.
Here's the track listing. I believe some of these tracks are still exclusive to this CD.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Not enough people know about that band.
No, not enough people know. Here's one. I hope it's not too dusty. I had to dust it off yesterday when I grabbed it off of a shelf.
Collectors will call that the patina or the patina.
Right. See if I can clean it up a bit before I show it off. This one comes in an outer cardboard sleeve.
Oh yes. Is that that's the box set that's got the I think I know what you've got there. I don't have it. I think I know what's on it. Yeah. It's got classic Queen, greatest hits, the 92 greatest hits, and then the interview disc that's got Thank God It's Christmas on there.
Yes. Yeah. And a postcard.
I remember it's funny. Here's the thing. 92, Mike, I got into Queen like big time. They were like all I listened to pretty much. Right. But I remember seeing that when it came out. I remember seeing that at Samson being a little disappointed. I'm like, well, I've got most of what's on there. Why? Yeah. And we know there's so many other songs that they could have put on there. But anyway,
yeah,
it's still cool. It's still cool.
Here's a neat one that I was alluding to earlier when I was speaking with you. This comes from Japan, and it is a band, Deep Purple. There's some dust. 3 discs, Purple Chronicle, the best selection of 25th anniversary. I love the way the Japanese title things, and that it doesn't translate.
A little bit of broken English, yeah.
It doesn't translate perfectly, but on the other hand, it's so characteristic of these Japanese releases.
But they do such a good job with them.
Yeah,
like the packaging, right?
And I believe this still has a bunch of stuff on it that I otherwise don't have. Highway Star single edit, Burn single edit. The mono versions of Smoke on the Water and Smoke on the Water Live, that came from a 7-inch single, which I think was reissued with something else. Probably the Maiden Japan, the Maiden Japan
Machine Head. Oh yeah.
But anyway, regardless, this is a neat collection. 3 discs of Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, and all the way up to Mark 4.
Okay.
And it still has the Obi strip. but
That's
has a little bit of sun damage.
I wish I'd have kept my, that's something else, Mike. I wish I'd have kept my Obi strips.
I always did. That was one thing. You know what? I'm just going to show you real quick my technique for keeping the Obi strips.
Excellent. Yeah. Obi strips, for those that don't know, they were if you buy an import CD, usually from Japan, you'd have the little, well, it was a sash that went over the side of it. And yeah, Mike's showing up. Harem Scarem changed the world. Yeah.
That's what you had there. I've got that one in the fat case. So this is my
technique.
Oh,
okay. Right on.
Yeah. I would slit the case, the cellophane open like this, slide the CD out like that.
Yeah.
And then I have the whole package all together. It displays really, really nice. And it just slides right back in there. Well, I'm ripping it a bit, but because I'm rushing. But
to be honest with you, that reminds me of package when Matt and I were packaging up the unspooled books, and I was signing them, and we were trying to put them back in the plastic. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One more. Yeah, one more. This is the treasure of the box sets. Even though I showed you a $750 box set before, this is the treasure, and there's a brilliant story behind it.
Okay. Wow.
And it's complete.
Oh, I know what that is. Yeah, I know what that is. I've got a buddy of mine, huge fan. He's got some of the discs on there, not all of them. He said it's too expensive to buy all at once. I'm just buying them one at a time.
Well, I have my receipt.
Is that got the listen with Nico on each one? Yeah.
I bought this on March the 10th, 2000. No, sorry, that's backwards. This looks like October 7th, 2003, most likely. This came from The Beat Goes On in London, Ontario. I paid, including tax, $156.39. And the story goes like this, Tim. The story goes like this. And it was worth it. We had rules about what staff could and could not buy for themselves. And I was subject to that rule as well, even though I was a store manager. The rule was this, and it was a mighty strong rule, is thou shalt not purchase any stock for yourself from a franchise. We had a corporate store and we had franchise stores. Well, the franchise owner, it was a good friend of mine named Will. Will called me up on the phone one day and he says, "Hey, Mike, I just got in a used copy of the Iron Maiden first 10 years box set. Do you want it? What should I price it at? And do you want it?" So I'm like, "Yeah, I do want it." And he's like, "No problem." So this is the franchise owner, no problem. He rang it up on credit card and delivered it to me. But it was intercepted on its way to me by my boss, who pulled me into the back room and yelled at me and yelled at me and yelled at me for buying this. And I said, "Hey, you know what?" He called me and asked if I wanted. I paid for it on my credit card, full price, no discount. Why am I the only one getting yelled at here? But she was absolutely furious with me. And after I walked out of the back office after being thoroughly scolded, my head hanging low, one of the staff employees, they asked me, "Was it worth it?" And I said, "Are you kidding? Or do it again in a heartbeat. Do you know how rare this is? I have it now." And I said, "But you know what my mistake was? My mistake was doing this legit, just paying for it and having him bring it to me. No, what I should have done was put on a fake mustache and a fake beard, sunglasses, walk into the store incognito and buy it that way. And then I never would have got caught. And the end result was the same." Now, the funny coda to the story is,
no good deed goes unpunished.
No good deed goes unpunished. The funny coda to the story was that my boss primarily was upset with me, not for taking this awesome stock for myself, but for setting a bad example to the employees. Well, none of the employees knew about it until she started barking at me in the back room and everybody could hear it. So that's on you.
It could have been, she could have been more discreet, you're saying.
Could have been a little bit more discreet if the primary concern was finding out that I had broken this cardinal rule. But here it is. Here it is. This is basically 20 Iron Maiden EPs.
Yeah. And they're all very, like it's got, okay, you'll remember this. And I only know this because, like I said, I've got friends that are like way into Maiden. I remember, you'll know exactly what I mean. But when you get to Wasted Years on here, do you know what I mean when I say hot metal in reference to Wasted Years?
No,
single?
I don't know
Okay.
what you mean.
Okay. If you were to go onto Discogs, type in Wasted Years, and the menu drops down, click on all versions of the Wasted Years single. Okay. Sooner or later, you're going to see Wasted Years, hot metal. It'll have a different title. Click on it. It is, and my buddy John has this. It was a cassette that was exclusive to A&A Records when probably when somewhere in time. And basically, and he didn't buy it back, and he bought it used. But it's the Wasted Years cover art with like the, if you're piloting something, it's all the readout with Eddie on it, and yeah, you'll find it. It's the same one, and it's got Reach Out and Sheriff of Huddersfield, and all 3 songs are on both sides. On the cassette itself, it's got the A&A logo, and it says this. And there's a coupon that you could clip out of it that said this coupon. Yeah, that cover art exactly. That's why it's looped. That's why, even though it's got a different title, it's considered part of the Wasted Years master list, right? Because it is the Wasted Years single with the same B-sides. But there was a clippable coupon that entitled you to, I don't know, $1 off any regularly priced Iron Maiden album, cassette, or CD. Huh. I'm really surprised that you don't know. I'm kind of surprised you didn't. I know it's very, very obscure, but it just makes me think of it because I'm like, I just think it's cool.
I don't think we had an A&A yet when that came out. Our A&A, I think, came out later in 86 or early 87. But I don't recall ever seeing that or hearing about it.
Yeah, it was just a strictly A&A promotional item.
I would have bought it if I had seen it. And I think
I know
I have for rare box sets. That's it. That's all my rare box sets that I wanted to show you. I could go on. I've got a Metallica fan can back there, but we don't have all day, so that's just the highlights.
Well, that's a good segue, and you already spotted what I held up. So the next 3 CDs I'm going to show you are all on Polygram labels.
Oh, cool.
Now, so in 1999, so Metallica's Garage Inc. came out in 1998. Now, I played that all the time, and all of a sudden I had this idea, because this is when burning CDs were, in my neck of the woods, was just starting to become a thing. And I thought it'd be cool to find as many of the originals as I could and make my own version of like Garage Inc., the originals.
Okay.
So I'm starting to look in that mode, right? And I just happened to find this at a local pawn shop. How I ended up with it, I will never know how it ended up there. But this CD reared its head. And like you said, it did come in one of the Fat Boy CD cases. I just put it into a slim case. This is New Wave of British Heavy Metal 79 Revisited. And this is a CD that came out, oddly enough, in Canada, it came out on Vertigo Polygram. In the States, it came out on Caroline. It was a smaller, more independent label. It was compiled by Lars Ulrich, the biggest proponent of New Wave of British Heavy Metal. And so I bought this. It had Diamond Head, It's Electric, and Helpless. Yeah. It's got Blitzkrieg by Blitzkrieg. And I think those
early Vivian Campbell, Sweet Savage.
I think those songs were the only ones that Metallica covered on Garage Inc. But there were other things too. And for me personally, not being a full-on headbanger, contained this little band here, Def Leppard, and an early version of Get Your Rocks Off with Frank Noon on drums, not Rick Allen. It was the first time I'd ever heard it. It's really, really cool packaging. It's got all the band members listed. And for people that are into the New Wave of British Heavy Metal, this is a really cool compilation. Yeah. If you're into Iron Maiden, okay, so it's got an early version of Sanctuary on here, but it's also got
that has a different guitar player on there. That's his only appearance. It was those recordings. Tony Parsons.
Yes, you're right. And also 2 other Maiden references. It's got Samson, Vice Versa, a really cool tune with Bruce Dickinson, and it's got White Spirit, which was Yannick Guerre's early band. So yeah, it's got Sweet Savage, Eye of the Storm. They did Killing Time, the Metallica covered. So yeah, there was Vivian Campbell's early band. It's got Raven on here, Venom, Vargas, Trespass One of These Days. That's a good song. Anyway, I don't know how easy this is to find nowadays, but
it's not.
This was And what's really cool is I ripped this onto my laptop, and the cover is slightly different.
Oh,
the cover has Thunderstick from Samson complete. You can see his, well, you cannot see his face, but you can see this picture completely. It's got all the other same photos on here, but they're in a different configuration. But it's the same album.
I wonder if that's because one image is used on the outer sleeve of the fatty case, and that is the inner sleeve. Because
see, that's the thing with the fat CD cases. There was that extra. Yeah,
I see my copy.
Mike's gonna find out.
Oh no! Look, same.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Huh. So that's one of them. The next one, I'm not sure how rare it is, but it is a little bit like that. Something that was not rare and it was all you could find at the time, then it became rare.
Okay.
And one of the first CDs, among the first few CDs I bought, was this, of course, Def Leppard High and Dry. And this is the 1984
right
reissue that contains Me and My Wine and the remix of Bringing on the Heartbreak.
Oh, it does have the bonus tracks.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Now, here's what's weird about this. So it's got a grand total of 12 songs. The cassette, which I originally had of this same release, had Me and My Wine at the end of side 1.
Right.
And Bringing on the Heartbreak, the first song on side 2.
Yes.
This has them both at the end of the album.
Yes.
And so this is a Canadian release on Vertigo. And it's just, I don't know if it's rare, but sometime around 93 or 94, you stopped seeing this version.
Yep.
And it didn't have the bonus tracks on it anymore.
I would consider that one desirable because up until the release of the early years box set, those remixes were hard to get.
Exactly. Yeah. And one more Polygram one I want to show you. I don't know if this is rare. I just think it's really cool.
Okay.
This is Gene Simmons solo album.
I've never seen that.
From 78 with a special price on. This is from the UK. Actually, my buddy Matt, who designed the Unspooled book, did such a great job of it. He, in the second year of community college, his class went to London, I think, for a couple of weeks. And he brought this back for me, along with an interview disc. But look at the CD.
Yep.
This is what the Polygram CDs of Casablanca reissues looked like. If you want to know more about this, I recommend a website called KeithHirsch.com.
Okay.
Keith, HIRSCH.com. It's got a whole subsection on the different label pressings. I just think that looks cool. Nothing rare about it, but I just think it looks cool.
Well, now, I've never seen it, Tim. I've never seen it with that special price on the front ever.
So I get 3 more CDs, and then we'll throw it back to Mike.
Okay.
These 3 are all on A&M. Of course, I've got to represent. This is Y&T Open Fire. This is a Japanese CD of Open Fire, which I happened to find used. And at the time, it was the first early Y&T album I had on CD. So circa 1993, I didn't have access to the internet.
Right.
It was the Wild West. But anyway, and what's particularly rare about Open Fire is that when the band themselves, around 2005, started reissuing the A&M catalog on CD themselves with bonus tracks in many cases, they didn't reissue Open Fire. Hippo, which is a division of Universal, sort of the equivalent to Rhino to Warner, did a really cool reissue of it, which I think is kind of rare in itself, but this one's more rare. This one seems to be more rare. It's got a lyric sheet.
That is neat. Yeah.
And inside of this, it reprints everything that was in the original record, which at the time I didn't have the record, so I'd never seen these photos before. So the fact that I found this for $5 used, I thought was a pretty big deal. The only problem is that it was one of those cases where someone did not know how to store their CDs, and they put the booklet in wrong. So you get this happening, right? The tabs press them down. Anyway, it's still cool. So that's one.
Still worth more than what you paid.
Oh, I just couldn't believe actually, now that I think about it was me and my 2 oldest friends, John and Chad, both of whom have been on the show before. Chad was not a Y&T fan, and he really didn't know anything about their albums. He said, "Tim, do you have Y&T Open Fire on CD?" And I knew he wasn't kidding because he doesn't know anything about them. And I'm like, "What?" So I ran over, and that was a good trip. I don't know how rare this one is. It's the first Bryan Adams album.
It's hard to find.
Yeah, this is a Canadian issue on A&M. I just happened to find this in a pawn shop, and The only thing that makes this rare is that those first two albums of his, unless you get like Japanese issues, I don't think they've ever been reissued. So
he doesn't seem particularly fond of his early music, especially his first single, Let Me Take You Dancing.
That I can understand, but there's some great songs on here.
Yes.
Hiding from Love, Remember, State of Mind.
Remember.
What I find interesting about the first couple of albums, and my wife Sarah, who's a Bryan Adams fan, when she hears these songs, she said, "Oh, it's Baby Bryan. He sounds so young."
He does.
You can tell it's him.
Have you ever heard him? You ever heard that Sweeney Todd album that he did?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Really baby
Roxy
voice.
Roller, yeah.
Yeah, really baby voiced.
So one more A&M CD. This is really rare. I don't think it's ever been reissued because it wasn't a successful album. It's 38 Special Delivery. Wow. This is their second album from 1978. Wow. This is an old US A&M CD. It's got a copyright date on 1978, 1987, but it was never issued since. Honestly, not a very good album either, but I had to have it to complete the collection. So yeah, their first couple of albums remain rare. Not much inside of it, but it's got they do reproduce the gatefold.
That's cool.
So yeah, back to you, Mike.
Hey, can we take a 2-minute break so I can get another coffee?
Go get yourself another coffee, and I will talk about whatever.
Okay, I'll be back in 2 minutes with a fresh one.
Cool. Thanks everybody for sticking with us thus far. I know this is a really geeky, really deep topic, but I think we've got enough folks watching that appreciate this kind of thing. Regards to Unspooled, as of this moment, really, believe me when I say there's nothing I'd like more than to say to everybody that wants a book that didn't get in on the first campaign, yeah, here's how to get one. I can't say that right now. We are working on it. It's for people that don't do this for a living. This is it's been a true labor of love, and we're learning all the time. Matt and I are learning all the time about what goes into it. The response that I've been getting has been fantastic. One thing I would say, if people are still watching, if you've got Unspooled, would love to see you take a photo of yourself with the book. A lot of people have already done this, and tag me or tag Tim's Vinyl Confessions and post it. Would love to see that, just to keep the awareness out there about the book. So thank you very much on that. Thank you, Mike. Wow, that was a wicked segue. Look at that. Almost like you could hear me.
I just still heating up my coffee.
Right on. Oh, yeah. So anyway, we are working on it. That's all I can tell you, is that we are working on it, getting more copies to Unspooled out there to the folks. Blowing me away that people wanted to read it in the first place. Never mind the fact that more people want it. So just thank you very much. You've made it's just been great. Surreal, honestly, to have a book out, Martin Popoff writing the forward, Donna Halper writing the back cover, and everybody that contributed, Mr. Ladano, as well as generously contributing chapters. And I'm not going to start listing everybody because I know I'll forget someone. I don't want to mess that up. So yes, so Mike is back. I have fresh Tim's, freshly heated. Now some more goodies from his CD collection.
I'm just going to grab randomly.
Right on.
Because I have some rare, well, to me, pressings as well. Here's one.
Cool.
You like this band?
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Have you ever seen this? I know you have this album, but have you ever seen it on a CD that looked like this?
That's what mine looks like. That's
what mine seriously?
Looks like. Yeah. Now, it doesn't.
This is a U.S. import.
That's weird. Mine's a U.S. It's a U.S. BMG music service, but it doesn't have the blue tray. But yeah, that's what my CD. That's what my Hot in the Shade CD looks like.
I'm just going to clarify real quick because you're going to see colored trays in a lot of my stuff. I worked in a used CD store. I stole this from a Madonna album and put it on my KISS because it looked good.
Hey, that's cool though.
We all did it. My buddy T-Rev, all of his CDs have colored spines.
Nice. No, that's really cool. That fits really well.
But I love the mirrored sunglasses.
Yeah, me too. No, I just happen to have that. And then over the years, people have commented like, wow, I've never seen one like that. It's just, I found it used. It's just the one that I found.
And you mentioned when we were talking offline earlier, how some of these early CD pressings are thinner. They feel different. The actual disc is thinner.
Yes.
You can't see that, but you can feel that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
even
one.
Sometimes the outer edges of them feel,
right. It feels that outer edge feels rounded.
Yes.
Feels
Yes.
beveled.
Like it's
Both of
been,
them
yes,
feel
like
carpet.
it's been sanded off or something.
Right. I don't know if these are rare, but I'm told that they are. And here's another colored spine that I stole from a CD. The first two Vinnie Vincent Invasion on original Chrysalis CDs.
Okay. Now, is that another replacement with the pink tray?
Yes. Yeah.
You
but
know
these
what?
are originals.
That sounds like something I would have thought of, but never thought of it.
Well, I mean, we're working in a used CD store. We see something
well,
like that come in, and it feels like, you know what, that would be a waste if that stayed on a Britney Spears album when I can put it on a Vinnie Vincent
right.
one. Boss didn't particularly like us doing this, but we would just, it was an even swap. We would swap one tray for another.
It's exactly right. Yeah.
Like I said, I have no idea. I think these are somewhat rare.
Well, I don't think they were ever reissued, or they were never reissued in North America.
Right.
That way.
There's the spines.
Nice.
Shame if they don't match. But I recall used these going for about $15 a pop, which was higher than the average.
Yeah.
Our top price, just to I talk a lot in terms of pricing when I was working at the record store. Our CDs ranged from generally $8 to $12. A lot of the stuff that you've been showing off with the box backs. Wow, the wind is really blowing, just incidentally, if you're hearing it. A lot
Actually
of those
quite mild here for a change.
Oh well. Oh wait, no, that's a snowblower. It could get loud here. I apologize.
No, that's all right.
A lot of those ones that you call box backs, we called super savers, and we would generally sell them for about $8 or $9. Whereas remasters we would sell for $11 or $12. And of course, it's a different economy now, and things are less expensive in general, brand new. But when I talk in terms of pricing back in my day, which ranged from 1994 to 2006, $12 was top dollar for a used CD. $12. So for us to sell the Vinnie Vincent Invasions for 15 was asking a bit. And you know, working in a used CD store, it might be a bit of a different environment than working in an HMV, because people see $15 on a used item and they go, what the hell? Why? Explain that to me. Oh, well, it's rare. Well, I'll just go and get it somewhere else.
Yeah. Good luck.
Right.
Good luck. Yeah.
I ended up getting 2 copies of the
yeah, there would be $15 now. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
But yeah, back then you're right. It would be a little sticker shock.
Right.
And you know, you made me think of something that never really occurred to me before.
Okay.
There, I've got my wife getting me a coffee refill, and
smart.
She let the dog in too, although the dog does not want to stay in. Bear with me here. It just occurred to me. I don't know why. I wish now that I had worked part-time in either Sam's or A&A's in Woodstock. I wished I'd never worked in a record store. I don't know why it never occurred to me that I could actually make money and buy more tapes, but
you don't make any money, Tim. Trust me. You just buy more tapes.
Well, there's that too, but
I'll be honest with you. Guys who own record stores don't like guys like us working in the record stores, because we buy all the great shit. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, getting off topic here a little bit, but you know what I mean by Value Village.
Oh yeah, we have them here. Aaron works in one.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll see like guys like Aaron, this guy Rob Hawley from Halifax posts stuff. These guys are always finding really cool stuff at Value Village. Closest Value Village to me is the one in Fredericton. Just shit. There's never anything good. It's like, what? Why is it? Must be population. There's I can count on one hand the number of things I've actually found at my semi-local Value Village, but I think it has something to do with what you said. Somebody works there is obviously looking for the same type of stuff that I am. So best haul that I actually made at Value Village was a collaboration between my buddy Matt and my good buddy Bud Campbell. Found me Alive, Canadian Alive 2. Thank you, honey. Canadian Alive 2, Sheer Heart Attack, Rock and Roll Over, and seems to me there was one other 8-track, but that's rare because on my own, I think I found an REO Speedwagon High Fidelity. The only thing I ever found at Value Village.
Well, anyway. Tim, here's something interesting though about what you said population wise. Aaron comes from a small town, And one of the CDs that I just showed you also comes from a small town, Kincardine, Ontario. I bought that Vinnie Vincent album in Kincardine, Ontario at a combination convenience store / used bookstore / used CD store.
Sometimes
and I also at the same store, I found a very rare Helix Good to the Last Drop remix promo single. You know, I worked in a freaking record store in Kitchener and I never saw these things. Helix is from Kitchener, but in these
you just never know, right?
You got to check the small towns.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like those make for the funnest stories when you're in the most unlikely spot. You don't think you're going to find anything. You end up with a treasure.
Right. I'm going to show you another one here. I know you like a band called Thin Lizzy, right?
I do like Thin Lizzy. Yeah. I've only got a few of their CDs.
So you don't have any solo albums by their lead vocalist, Phil Lynott, then?
No, but I've never seen them on CD either.
Well, here's a rare one. Phil Lynott album. This is a Vertigo pressing from London. So that would be the UK. There's the back.
Yeah.
And there's the spine. The Philip Lynott album on Vertigo. Do I know any of these songs very well? No, I don't. Yellow Pearl, we know that.
Yellow Pearl is a funny one.
Yeah, it is a funny one.
You ever seen the video to it?
Yes. Yeah, I have a in the other room. I have a Thin Lizzy VHS with a bunch of their videos on it.
It was actually the theme to Top of the Pops at one point.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I think
written by Midge Ure. Written by Midge Ure and
that's
Phil
right.
Lynott.
Yeah.
Attack is what we lack, went the chorus. Strange. Attack.
It doesn't sound anything like Thin Lizzy. It sounds more like Human League, or like it's really early 80s, like new wavy.
Right. Well, I guess that's one reason why him and Midge were working together, just to come up with a different kind of sound.
With Ultra and Midge Ure, he was in Thin Lizzy briefly, I think. But then he was in Ultravox, right?
I think he was in Thin Lizzy, sort of like in between Gary Moore's outings. I'm not 100% sure. I know it gets really complicated with that band.
Yeah. And I know that some of those Phil Lynott solo tracks ended up on, because I've got a 2-disc Thin Lizzy Greatest Hits from the UK, and it's got some of those songs, like I think it's got King's Call, which I think is a solo song, which I think has Mark Knopfler on it, of all things.
I love King's Call. God,
I think that's the one that's got Mark Knopfler on.
Yes, it does, and you can tell it's got that finger picking. God, I'm getting chills underneath the sweatshirt. I'm getting chills right now just thinking about King's Call, and the lyrics really haunt me, man. Like it's about the night that Elvis died, and Phil just pouring himself into a bottle to console himself, because Elvis was one of his biggest influences.
Yes, for sure.
Don't believe a word. I believe no, it's not. Don't believe a word. It's do anything you want to. It ends with Phil singing, "Elvis is dead. The king of rock and roll is dead." You know. Anyway,
he's a big fan.
You like a band called Wasp?
I'm not into Wasp, but
you're not.
But what do you got?
You ever seen the Dudes soundtrack? It's got some Keel on here, and it's got some very early Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, it's got Steve Vai. It's got Steve Vai track on there.
Yes. Now the funny thing, Megadeth. The funny thing is, it doesn't say the artist on the back, so you kind of have to open up the booklet. But there's Wasp right there.
Yeah.
Headless Children lineup.
Yeah, you don't see. The old soundtracks are kind of rare, and that was, I believe, on MCA.
MCA is correct, my friend.
Yeah.
And if you recall, like I've never seen this movie. I know nothing about it except that John Cryer was in it. But you recall there was a video by Keel for Rock and Roll Outlaw. And it's like every once in a while you would run into these music videos with movie footage and you'd be like, what the hell is this? Like there was no explanation in the video that you were watching a movie called Dudes. Yeah. It was just, there's John Cryer dressed as a cowboy and some fat guy with a mohawk, you know?
Yeah.
But exclusive at the time anyway, Show No Mercy by Wasp, Rock and Roll Outlaw by Keel, and the Mountain Song, which I'm not a big Jane's Addiction fan, but a guy that I knew at the time told me that was an exclusive to this CD, that version of Mountain Song. Whether it still is or not,
right? Because I think I'm not up on Jane's Addiction, but I think their first album wasn't on Warner Brothers. I think it was on a smaller label, so it might be a different. Yeah, it might be a different recording.
That is definitely a different recording, but whether it's been released since on a Jane's Addiction box set, I couldn't tell you.
And I don't know that the studio version of Teal Rock and Roll Outlaws ever appeared on one of their releases. I know there's a live version of it on their album, Larger Than Live, which was half studio, half live. But
that's interesting.
And that song was originally done by Rose Tattoo, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. You're right. Yeah. I think you had a few of these earlier. The special price.
Yes, with the Warner.
Love It to Death.
That's what my Love It to Death looks like.
And the disc in the center, you know, it's reflective rather than clear.
Yeah.
Feels very thin. Made in West Germany. You can see clearly where it says that. You can also see where on my wall it says Fart Zone. I should really take that sign down, because anytime I show off something reflective, it's kind of, that was showing when I was interviewing Mike Fraser, and I'm like holding a CD up to show Mike Fraser, and it's like Fart Zone. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
but
really
no,
sorry.
just say no. It says Traf Enos.
Right.
The obscure German. They were a Kraftwerk cover band.
Right. What was that one CD? Rat. You were showing your Rat EP, and you were saying it had a very, very limited CD release.
Yeah. Oh, you just took one from my list.
Are you serious? You have this one?
Look at that. Check it out.
Wow, this is rare,
Tim. The Wounded Bird version.
This is the Wounded Bird version.
I think, and honest to God, I think that's all there ever was until the Max Webster box set, which had the slim cardboard version of it. I'm still glad that I shelled out for this, because I mean, this was one of those ones that for years it's like, when is that going to come out on CD? Because I love this EP. Chain of Events. Come on. That's just
Tennessee Water. Misdemeanor. Actually, Misdemeanor is my track. Misdemeanor just kind of like has this high school sound to it, you know?
Yeah. Kids in Action. Do you know who almost recorded Kids in Action?
Yeah, a guy by the name of Billy Sheehan. In a band
for an album,
the David Lee Roth
Smile.
Band. Eat 'em and
now,
Smile.
Do you know if that had happened? Not only, I mean, it would have raised Kim's profile in the U.S. or as a songwriter, because that was a platinum album. But if that had happened, you know this as well as I do. But from working in radio, Kids in Action by David Lee Roth would be a radio staple on classic rock radio stations all over Canada, because it would classify as CanCon.
100%.
And I would love to hear it. I would love to hear Dave's take on that, because at first, when I first heard that, I'm like, well, that seems strange. But after a while, I'm like, no, Dave could do something with that. But here's the ironic part of this. This is 1986, right? Do you know who Kim Mitchell opened for some parts of the tour in 1986 in the States? Van Halen.
Oh, are you serious?
He opened for some shows on the 5150 tour. Huh. Meanwhile, Dave's recording his first solo album. Yeah. Well, it was like the Canadian, because a BTO opened for Van Halen on some of that tour. So it was like the Canadian opening acts, right?
Weird.
Anyway, that's cool. That's one of the ones I had that was just not tied to any one label. And I've got
the only thing I want to add about this. I just want to add one thing about this, which is if you go to my review of this EP, which by the way, I consider the greatest EP ever made. If you go to my review, I took a screenshot of what Amazon were selling this for at that time, which was, I believe, $107.
Easy. I think I managed to find one for about 60, and I thought that was a bargain at the time.
I paid original retail, which was $20 or whatever.
Yeah, see, I missed out on it when it first came out, because it came out in like 2004. As far as Wounded Bird goes, the packaging's minimal, but they made a lot of rare CDs available. That's my first Vandenberg CD is a Wounded Bird. I don't know if I've got any other ones or not, but
I've got the Rock Candy.
Oh, and I've got a Harem Scarem EP collection on Wounded Bird. It's got like, hold on, hang on.
Yeah, buddy. You're holding out on me, Tim. You're holding out on me.
Yeah, says the guy with the $750 Harem Scarem box. This is it's got Die Off Hard, Rain, New Religion, Turn Around, So Blind, and What I Do. All of those EPs, and each one has 3 songs on them.
That's neat, buddy.
And it's a Wounded Bird version. So
I'm pretty sure I have a Harem Scarem collection called the B-Sides. So I'm pretty sure I would have all that stuff, but that I've never seen that particular disc ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
The Kim Mitchell one made me think of this, because it's on Wounded Bird.
How are we doing for time? I have a funny story for you.
No, go for it. This is great.
Okay, so my Harem Scarem collection that I showed you earlier, all those Japanese imports, I got at the record store a ton of Japanese imports. I got them from a guy named Conrad, who was a huge metal fan, especially Bruce Dickinson. But the weird thing about Conrad was he'd be bringing in all these Japanese imports, tons of them. And every once in a while, he would sell the same one to me twice. And it would raise suspicions in my head. I know for a fact he sold me at least 3 copies of Journey's Trial by Fire, Japanese import. And he would always say, I'm selling them for a buddy. And it raised suspicions. He never got caught, but I always wondered, was he stealing these Japanese imports from Toronto, HMV? That was where they stocked them. And he would always be telling me that he's going to Toronto. And it's like, but he's coming with a stack this high. How do you steal? It never added up, Tim. He might have had some weird kind of obsessive compulsive disorder where he bought stuff and then had to sell it again. I knew people with that problem.
Or he had to buy everything in 3s.
It was only Trial by Fire that I remember seeing 3 copies of. But dude, I have like everything Harem Scarem Japanese. He had so many good ones. I remember he had a 4 CD Halloween Japanese box set. Anyway, long story short, I would say a solid 50% of my Japanese CDs came from this Conrad fellow. Yeah. And my boss hated him because he chewed gum. Oh. Okay. But, you know, it's not like I bought all the Japanese imports. They went out on the shelf and they made a shit ton of money. So I always thought it was kind of like, you know, don't
bite the hand that feeds, right?
You know, the guy chews gum, big deal. We've certainly had worse offenders in the store than
this guy's going to generate store traffic.
Oh man, like if anybody collected metal when I was working at that store, they were in for a treat constantly. Anyway, I'll show you one more and then we'll get back to you.
Right on.
This is a little guy by the name of Ronnie James Dio.
Okay, that's an
band called Elf.
Yeah.
Line Records.
Huge label.
Oh, you're aware of it?
No.
Or are you being sarcastic?
I'm being very sarcastic. I love the fact that there's a song on that album called Rainbow.
Yeah. Well, he loved his rainbow analogies, didn't he? But there's also a song called Happy.
That never mind, he ended up in Rainbow.
I always thought that he must have been instrumental in naming that band. Mickey Lee Soul ended up in Gillan. Yeah. Or the Ian Gillan band, I believe. I can't remember. I know he did maybe he ended up in Rainbow too. No, he was just in Rainbow, wasn't he?
Just the first album.
And Craig Gruber on bass.
Because I think all of those guys, except for the guitar player, were the backing band on the first Rainbow album, and then Blackmore ditched them except for Dio. Wow, lyric and everything.
Yeah. So this is just an odd release. Again, came from my time at the record store, and I'll show you the disc itself as well. Again, it has that thin feel that you get from
but you know what? That's it for a smaller reissue company. That's a good looking disc. Like that's professional looking.
All right, Tim, why don't we go back to you then?
So let's keep it Canadian because we were talking about Kim Mitchell. So I've got a couple of CDs that there were 6 albums that this band put out in the States on Capitol Records. 2 of them to this day you can probably still find, but I've got a couple of rare ones. This is April Wine First Glance. This is the US Capitol CD. And
wow.
Of course, April Wine fans, but this is the US International cover. And I kept so that's one I actually bought and then got rid of my other one. But I did a photocopy and I kept the original cover. That's the Canadian cover of First Glance.
Smart.
So there's not much in it. It's an early Capitol CD. Even though Roller was on this, I don't think this album went gold in the States. So this CD is not easy to find. So I was glad to add. I think I paid about $30 for this on eBay. Not bad. But the really rare one is one I just happened to find and I'd already had an Aquarius version of it. But I said, well, I got to get this one. 1984 First Glance. This is a US Capitol CD.
Great cover, by the way.
I love it. Yeah. I wish they'd use the actual logo, but anyway, there's the CD itself. This is very typical if US Capitol CDs. That's what they look like.
Yeah.
So So the other ones that are kind of rare would be Power Play and Walking Through Fire. I've got my Harder, Faster, Nature of the Beast CDs or US Capitol CDs, but those are pretty easy to find. Those were big albums for them. Next up is a group that we talked about earlier. I'm going to go in order, and I've got another one for one of my kids. My daughter found this used. She just happened upon it. This is the first Queen album, and this is a UK version on EMI, which I find strange. They actually call it Queen One side.
Weird.
Yeah. Sometimes I think when they started reissuing CDs, they had no idea what to do. Now, this was actually one of the Hollywood issues that's really valuable because it had Mad the Swine. It had that really cool remix of Keep Yourself Alive, which is my favorite version of that song. I prefer it to the album version. This actually has some of the artwork and credits that were in the original. But yeah, but she was just getting into...
I lost you, Tim.
Yeah, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm in low power mode. Hold on. I'm going to go get my... hang on.
Okay, so
we're going to fix this. Maybe if you've got a couple of CDs, go ahead, show them off to the people.
You got it, man.
Okay.
Okay, here's an oddball. This is and it might not be valuable at all. This could be worth 99 cents. I got it for free. Look at that strange CD. Donald Buchwald and Associates, Promos Volume 6, a 2 CD set. What the hell is this? This is promo voice audition roles. And the only reason I own this is that it has one on here by Dee Snider of Twisted Sister. Yes, Dee Snider of Twisted Sister doing like a voiceover audition tape, and it's about a minute long. And it's like, I can tell you exactly his words. It's tonight on Showcase, the hottest men, Sean Penn, Dustin Hoffman, tonight on Showcase. But it's Dee Snider of Twisted Sister.
He's got such a great voice for that, though.
But his New York accent really comes through. So it's like, I don't know how much work he got from this, but it's just, I guess Donald Buchwald was his agent, and they gave out these CDs to TV stations, and the TV stations could pick. Oh, look, Jason Robards III, Dee Snider. I believe some of these people are probably famous, but Ed O'Brien, not the guy from Radiohead, though.
No.
Anyway, I have no idea if this is worth anything. Probably not. Meg Griffin. That's a
Meg Griffin.
That's a fictional character. But anyway, like I said, this is probably worth 99 cents, but I have it for that reason and that reason only, that it's got this weird Dee Snider audio audition. And I like to stick it at the end of a mix CD. Just, you got that 1 minute at the end. It's also Dee Snider. Spend your night with the hottest men tonight on Showcase. Okay. Go ahead.
So I mean, my daughter Marley was just like starting to get into Queen, and that was one of the first CDs she found, was just an import version of their first album. Probably nothing rare about it if you're in the UK. It's just the fact she found it in Moncton. Now I've got a really weird one to show you. Of course, as we talked about, when Queen became, in 92, they had their comeback, Wayne's World, et cetera, et cetera. The year before, their entire catalog was reissued by Hollywood Records, which was a division of Warner.
The 20th anniversary series.
Yeah, and they some of them had bonus tracks, some of them didn't. I don't know why, because there's some bonus tracks they left off, and et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, and you can probably attest to this, some Canadian record stores were bringing in UK imports on EMI records of some of the same albums. I remember seeing cassettes, because they'd have that gold. There was a gold label up on top of before you'd see the album art, and one that I'm about to show you, I found at A&A's in 92, and I bought it instead of the Hollywood version because it was an import. So this is A Day at the Races.
Okay.
And it's a UK version on EMI. And it's just probably just a standard issue of the album, but I'm curious, and I've shown this off on my Queen CD episode.
That is different.
But I don't know if all of them are like this, but okay, so you open it up. Anyone who knows what the inner credits looks like, there's the photos of the band, a little bit of credits. Okay, all right. Okay, so there you go. There's the lyrics to Tie Your Mother Down, You Take My Breath Away in the beginning of Long Away. But wait, over here, we've got I'm in love with my car and you're my best friend. Turn the page. 39, Sweet Lady, Seaside Rendezvous. And this photo.
That's
next, The Prophet's Song. Now we're back to Day at the Races, starting with good old-fashioned Loverboy. The middle of this is the Night at the Opera credits. Like
they stapled in the wrong page.
The page, yeah, the pages got mixed up. So I don't know if there are UK versions of A Night at the Opera that has the other half of A Day at the Races in it. I don't know. Does anyone out there know? And I don't know if this is rare or not, but I've never seen anything about it.
Somebody in the UK watching right now is going, blimey, that guy's got the other half of my booklet.
So that's one weird. Next one.
That's bizarre. Okay. That's bizarre, Tim.
Here's one of the long boxes. I wish I'd kept Mike. So again, 1992, I'm getting into Queen. And I did a smart thing because this is something I would have kicked myself for later. I had a choice. Do I buy the Hollywood Records reissue of this album, which actually had a bonus song, or buy this old version that's probably been there for years that's in its long box? I bought the old version of The Works in its original Capitol Records long box. It was I bought it in Canada, but it's a US version of The Works.
Beautiful.
Even though I wanted I Go Crazy, which is the B-side of Radio Gaga, great rockin' tune, I knew that eventually that would continue to be around. I knew this one wouldn't. There's the CD itself. And it doesn't have the lyrics inside it, but it does have the credits and it's printed correctly. It's one of my prized possessions. I don't know if it's rare. I just like it. What else is weird about this, Mike, is that it's got a little bit of an audio glitch.
Oh.
So Radio Gaga starts out like that. Like half of the first bass drum note is cut off on this CD. So it's like it's got the first half of the first bass drum hit is cut. I don't know why. So mine, here's one that I found for my son Jack. This is a UK version of The Works on EMI. And as you'll see, very, very similar, right down to the serial number.
Yeah.
It's just that in the States and in Canada, they use Capitol. In the UK, it's EMI. Other than that, pretty much the same.
Boy.
One more Queen CD to show you. This one I found $10, about 7-8 years ago. Kind of Magic.
Love it.
US Capitol CD. And this is one of two occasions that I have a US Capitol CD that says CD Extra Tracks Packs.
Oh, that's great.
Now, I don't know how many were made in this series. And it says that because this has, so A Kind of Magic has, the actual album has 9 tracks on it, ends with Princess of the Universe. This has a kind of Magic, Friends Will Be Friends, and the instrumental Forever, which is just Who Wants to Live Forever. I already had the Hollywood version of this. This replaced it. Because that's rare. And there's the inner, doesn't have the lyrics inside it, but I got that on the record. I was just really surprised to find that.
That's cool.
While I'm on the CD Extra Tracks Packs, there's another rare CD.
Whoa. Rematch.
It's dark, yeah. It's Rematch and More. That's what the CD version is called.
Because it's got more.
Everybody knows the Sammy Hagar Capitol stuff rare.
Yeah.
And even rare to find original Capitol CDs. I don't have any of them, except this one. And this has the CD Extra Tracks Pack. So this has 15 songs on it. I think the original Rematch album had 10. This is a rare one for me. It came out in 87 and the original release came out in 82. So those are the only two I have that have that CD Extra Tracks Packs on them. I don't know. I'm sure there's other ones. So I get 3 more in this Capitol EMI thing. We already talked about this band. This is Poison, Open Up and Say Ah. This is just the US version with the censored cover. And this is probably one of the quietest CDs. And where that comes into place, if you've ever had if you ever made a burn CD from
Yes.
old and new CDs,
Yes.
you'd have to turn something way up, and the next song would just scare the crap out of you because it's so much louder.
Yes.
Let's keep it Canadian. I was really, really thrilled to find. I found this in the U.S. This is the 1986. This is Wild in the Streets Helix, the U.S. Capitol version. Love, love, love this album, and I'm so glad I found it.
I gave my copy to Aaron
on its original CD. Yeah, it's because for a while that was the only Helix CD. It took me forever to find the previous three.
That's true. That was the only Helix CD until Over 60 Minutes came out a couple of years later. Those were the only.
It's the first album they had that came out on CD.
Yes, you're right.
And
yes, I gave my copy to Aaron.
One final EMI CD. You're gonna like this one. 24 karat purple.
That is rare, man. That is rare.
A good compilation, and it's not one that's easy to find, but I really wanted to find it on CD. And there's some cool stuff inside here. There's the CD itself. It's Fame EMI, which is a UK thing. I've got some. I think a couple of my White Snake Love Hunter has that on it, my vinyl.
Bringing it back to Aaron, he gave me that CD. That guy is just a CD hound.
Worthy of having a surprise party thrown for him for sure,
dude.
So
he deserves it.
This is really cool. This is what tells me this CD came out during a very transitional time. So it says the 8 classic Deep Purple tracks on this compact disc are taken from these 5 albums. Now, so In Rock has nothing written under it. Fireball, available on LP cassette and compact disc. Machine Head, available on LP cassette and compact disc. Who Do We Think We Are, available on LP cassette and compact disc. Made in Japan, available on LP and cassette. So at this point, In Rock didn't exist on CD. Neither did Made in Japan. And I've never seen 24 karat purple is an odd compilation. And the reason I say it's odd, and I've said this before, is that most of the time, if you have an international band, if it's stuff that comes out in the US, it also came out in Canada.
Yeah.
Usually the same right down to the serial number, right? I've got a Canadian cassette, 8-track, and record of 24 karat purple. I've never ever seen a US version of it. And the Canadian versions are all on Warner Brothers, and that's their US label. So that's kind of an oddity for me.
I have it on vinyl and CD only. That's cool.
So yeah, I've just got a small pile left. Mike, what do you got? What do you have?
I have looks like about 15 to go. So I can rip through some of these pretty quickly.
Go for it. Yeah.
I know which one I'm saving for last. I'll show these 3 off. Back to soundtracks. In 1997, do you remember there was one of the first big movie reissues? Do you remember what that was in 1997?
Star Wars?
Yes, sir. And they reissued all the soundtracks.
Okay.
In these really nice.
Those are nice.
Digipacks with an outer.
They're so official looking.
They're what? Sorry.
They're so official looking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they line up really nicely as a series. And see how they're all colored a different kind of bronze, you know. But what's really nice, and I think Return of the Jedi looks best, is the discs themselves. They're the holograms. And when these were reissued in standard jewel cases, these are nice little CD wallets. When these were reissued in standard jewel cases, there were no holograms. So I'll show off one. There's the Death Star.
Oh, that is cool.
So all 3 of these in this series have the holograms. It's very hard to find these in good shape because of the nature of the packaging.
Yeah.
You know, paper gets banged up. You can even see
it gets scuffed. Yeah.
You know, it's a little scuffed, unfortunate. Shelfware. It's almost unavoidable over the long term. Yeah. But now my buddy Rob Daniels, who has a movie soundtrack show on a local radio station called, actually, Visions and Sound is his show. He could tell you a lot more. Sorry,
Rob also generously bought a book.
Yes, he did. Yes. That's right.
Thank you for that, Rob.
Rob could tell you all the shortfalls of these CDs because I know there's issues with like cues being like maybe cut or missing bits of music that were on prior versions.
You just reminded me of something.
Okay.
I don't have it anymore because I got rid of it because it was about as annoying as any CD I've ever heard.
Okay.
I used to have, it was a Canadian Columbia House version of KISS, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits.
Okay.
And when I guess when they wrote or burned the CD, how can I explain this? The beginnings of each song were cut off.
Oh.
So each track, if you were just to do a track by itself, the beginning of the song would be cut off and the very start of the next song would come on. That would be a track.
So it's an indexing issue.
So very much, and it's the only one I've ever seen like it. So, you know, I can't right off the top of my head the order the songs are in.
I can tell
would
you.
Be like, let's say, okay, what comes after I Love It Loud on Smashes, Crashes, and Hits?
Oh shit! Oh, maybe I can't tell you.
Okay, let's say
Love
Gun. Let's just say Love Gun came on after. I'm not saying it did. KISS fans out there, I'm a KISS fan. Okay, so on that CD, play I Love It Loud. You know how I Love It Loud starts.
Right.
Okay.
Boom, boom,
boom, ga, boom,
yeah,
ga. Not 2 bass drums, just 1. Okay.
Gotcha.
And on Smashes and Crashes and Hits, it doesn't fade out and come back in. It's like,
but Tim, that's because those are remixes.
Yeah,
that's why it doesn't.
But what I'm saying is completely fades out. Completely fades out. Da-da-da. The beginning of Love Gun would be on the same track. So they were
I see what
all
you're saying.
off that
Gotcha.
way. I couldn't stand it. I got a new copy of it, but that's an issue, you know.
It is.
And I don't know how many were like that, but that was a Canadian Columbia House issue. So I'm going to guess there were a few of them because that was, you know, they sold a lot of copies of that. Okay, so I've just got some kind of some mixed ones to show you last. We already talked.
I wanted to show you just a couple of more here before we do that. I wanted to show you my Japanese imports that are quite old.
Right on.
I had a Scorpions one and I've misplaced it. You mentioned this band earlier.
Yes.
This is a Japanese import with 5 B-sides. Demo version of 1. It's got the budgie cover, Bread Fan.
Nice.
This is a treasure. This would have been 1988.
Yeah.
Two separate.
Oddly enough, it doesn't have the 1 single art.
No, it doesn't. It's got the band
photo
head
with the soldier helmet on.
Yeah, it's got a band photo.
So what label is that on, Mike?
This is on Vertigo. No, sorry. I got that wrong. It's on CBS Sony.
That's right. Because yes, because I've seen Japanese CDs of Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets that are on Sony, and that looks so weird to me. It's like seeing the Japanese versions of the early Rush CDs on Atlantic.
Right.
That's a whole other topic. That's a whole other topic on albums that were released on different labels throughout the world. So funny you mentioned.
Just the last Japanese one. Remember Best of Oz, the Japanese exclusive?
Yes, yeah.
This actually, there's a very good reason why I own this. Shot in the Dark. You know that's a controversial track for Ozzy.
Yeah.
The version that's out on the Ultimate Sin remastered CD has about 10 seconds edited off the end. But earlier pressings of Shot in the Dark, like the original CBS version of the Ultimate Sin, and this have the full length track. It's 10 seconds worth of difference, but to guys like you and me, that matters.
Yeah. So funny you should mention that. So I got to give my buddy Matt another shout out. Do you know what I mean, Mike, when I say the 10 Commandments of Ozzy?
No. Refresh my memory.
So Matt had it on cassette. He still got the cover in a photo collage he put together. It came out, I think, in 1990 on Priority Records. It's just a 10-song mixed Ozzy album. And I don't know how Priority Records managed to license the songs from CBS, but he used to have that cassette.
I've never heard of it. I've never seen it or heard of it.
I don't know if it came out on CD or record, but there's a cassette of it. So we just finished talking about Metallica. One of my prized CDs, an original Canadian Electra version of the 998 CD.
Right.
Raj Days revisited, one of my favorite EPs ever. Was very glad to add this to my collection.
I paid $50 for my copy.
I got a couple MCA discs here. My favorite album from these guys, Triumph. This is a US CD on MCA. Doesn't have all the packaging with it.
Oh, I lost you.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting the low. My charger's not working like it should. Found this used. It's just a USMCA CD. But what I find interesting about this is that on the copyright, I don't know if you can see that, but it says 1984 and 1985.
Yes, yes.
But my understanding, if you're going to Wikipedia, it says that Thunder 7, they were really trying to push CDs. So they put it out on CD before any other format.
I've heard that as well.
But why would it have a 1985 date? I don't understand. The only other thing, there's no credit to lyrics inside it. So it's coming up short there. But I just thought it was unique for that reason. And another MCA CD I want to show you is this. Night Ranger Dawn Patrol with the compact disc, compact price series, and this wonderful Christmas wrapping paper motif that MCA CDs used to have. I've got like Leonard Skinner CDs and other Triumph CDs. Sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's pink. This is a nice yellowish one. But what's rare about this one is that usually they're as generic as they get. So that's what the front would look like. This is the US. And then there's the back, but it actually has a picture in it from the inner sleeve. I thought that was, I don't know if it's rare. I think it's kind of cool. You talked about Mr. D. Snyder before. I was so fortunate to just happen to come across this in 1992.
Whoa.
This is Under the Blade. I don't know who put it out. It looks like a polygram CD, but it's labeled as Secret Records. And I found this in a record store in Presque Isle, Maine in 1992. This is what the disc itself looks like.
Wow.
And
that's so rare.
Yeah, this might be one of my rarest CDs. It's obviously it's like a German import. How it ended up where I bought it, I don't know.
Well, that CD was out of print for a long time in our country.
Yeah.
And I had long waiting lists for it, waiting lists.
And even though what they put out, well, like all the other CDs, Atlantic never put Under the Blade out on CD in North America. I don't know why. But anyway, another one, I don't know how rare this is, but nowadays this version might be. Fate's Warning, Awaken the Guardian. This is an old Enigma Metal Blade album from the US. It's the album came out in 1985. I'm not sure when the CD would have come out. Anyway, that's what the CD itself looks like. Enigma Metal Blade. And it's got all the lyrics in it. 1986, I guess. It looks like a very early CD. And the very last one I'm going to show, and another long box I wished I'd kept. I found this in 1992. And if you know anything about this album, you'll know why that's rare. This is Sammy Hagar's 1987 album, which at the time was only self-titled, later reissued and named I Never Said Goodbye. This is a US Geffen album. And if you know what the cassette looks like, the cassette has the white photo of Sammy jumping up in the air. That's what the long box looked like, which I wish I kept. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of rare. The album's not rare. You can get it, but this version of it is not something that you're going to get very easily. Yeah, that's what the long box looked like, is that photo right there. So yeah, that's
what I wish I kept on cassette, because the cassette had really weird packaging.
Yeah, it wrapped around, and so did Standing Hampton.
Weird.
Yeah, and very cumbersome and very hard to keep in good shape. So that's I mean, there's more I could have put out, but man, we've been going for a long time, Mike.
Well, can I show you what I've got left?
Absolutely.
I've got a few real treasures here.
Right on.
I just wanted to show you real quick some of my CD singles. Oh shoot, there's 2 more 3 inches that I forgot about. I had them separate because they're in a different kind of packaging.
So those are very, very cool. Obviously, I can see that 88, 87, 88 was a very popular time for these.
And you're familiar with
some B-sides, did it not?
Sorry?
Heat Seeker had a B-side that was
Snake Eye.
Snake Eye, yeah, and then the other one was Down to the Borderline. That was
on the B side to.
That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're
Thankfully, Backtracks restored all those for me.
Right. Now you're familiar with the little spider, they call it, that goes inside a 45, so you can play it on a turntable. This has a different kind of adapter.
So it's adapter, yeah.
Look at that Sony CD adapter.
Is something I've never seen before. That is crazy.
And this one here is a completely different adapter.
That's right up there with the 8 chapter as far as mine belong.
That's a different one. Yeah.
Now, what's on the Angel? Is there anything different on the Angel CD? Or is it just
Remix.
tracks from...
Angel AOR remix. And then just tracks from the album. Angel, the album version, Girl Keeps Coming Apart, and Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Girl Keeps Coming Apart was the actual B-side, I believe.
I think you're right.
So that makes sense. That just made me think of something else I wish I'd kept, Mike. Where it went, I do not know. Same store I found that Sammy CD at. They had a CDV. You know what I mean by CDVs?
Yes, I remember them, but I never had anything that could play them.
Yeah, well, Polygram put out a bunch of them. And I found
yes, they did.
one,
KISS.
Yeah, and I found one for Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. So it was gold. The CD was gold.
Yes. Yes.
If you put it in a Laserdisc player, it had the Living on a Prayer video on it. But it also had, I think, 4 audio tracks. And one of them was Borderline.
Great song. Great song.
I don't know what happened to it. And it's not on the 50 million Bon Jovi fans can't be wrong box set of all the things they got right on. That's one thing they left off.
I have it on something. Like, I know I have it on vinyl, but I have to have it on something CD. I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Here's another rare single, and it says it's a promo. But if you know the
ASC, yeah, okay, was
right,
so,
Adrian Smith and
Silver
Project.
and Gold. Yeah.
2 non-album tracks, actually 3. Fighting Man, Blood Brothers alternative version, and Silver and Gold 12-inch remix. Blood Brothers not being the same track that's on Iron Maiden's
yeah, that's right. And something else that I realized over the years is that one of the members of ASAP was Dave Bucket Caldwell, who ended up in Bad Company.
And if I'm not mistaken, a young drummer by the name of Zach Starkey.
Zach Starkey, that's right. Yeah. So the opening track on that album, The Line, what a great song that was.
Great video too. $50, man.
I never got Fortenary.
I traded in my mail order version for this, which has 9 tracks as opposed to 5.
5, yeah.
5. The bonus tracks are 10,000 Miles Away, extended holiday version of Hooligans, Hammered Demo, and Living in the Know Demo. These are all available now on the Music to Crash Your Car 2 box sets. Yeah. You wanted to see some of my Master Sound albums?
Yeah. The Sony Master Sound, yeah. Or okay. Nice.
I'll just pull out. I'll pull out Signals here.
And the Signals one, yeah, the Signals one is unique.
Yes, it has a version of The Weapon that is mixed wrong. Basically, it has a missing verse or missing something, missing bridge.
I think it's missing a verse. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
different
cool.
kind of case.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Like a mouse grab.
Like these guys went all out on these releases, and it has sort of like a similar thing to an Obi strip. This little informative backing. I bought these at Future Shop. That was the only place you could get these in my town, was Future Shop.
Remind me, I got a Signal story to tell you.
Okay. Here's a really rare one. You like Helix. We've talked about Helix.
Love Helix, yeah.
You ever heard Helix's cover of Set Me Free by Sweet?
No.
It's on this independent London artist's CD called Got You Covered. On the back, you will see Helix, Set Me Free by Sweet. The Gandharvas covering Wrathchild by Iron Maiden. Blue Bones covering Children of the Grave by Black Sabbath. And there's a great KISS tribute band here called Alive doing Ladies in Waiting.
Oh, wow.
I don't Brian Vollmer does not list anything about this track on his website. So good luck finding this. You will never find this.
Wow.
Aerosmith. You were familiar with the cowhide cover of Get a Grip. That was
I remember when that came out. I almost bought it, but it was like twice the price, so I didn't.
Well, here's one that's twice as rare. Not the cowhide cover, but the faux leather cover of Pump.
Oh.
Yeah. You never see this.
No, I've never seen that before.
It's essentially just the booklet glued in. It's no different from the standard retail version, really, but the outer case.
Okay, so there's a case that's a case there, Mike. You'll appreciate this, where I actually thought there were extra songs on the Pump CD, because they gave all of those 1.5 Water Song or Dulcimer Stomp and all that. And then I listened to it. It's like, oh, they just renamed those little parts.
Yes. Oh, here's a really rare one. It's a little dusty. I'm still looking for Capsule 2, but this is Capsule 1 by The Cult. Very rare. This is a primitive dual disc where it's a DVD on one side and a CD on the other. It features the brand new tracks Siberia and Every Man and Woman is a Star, along with 2 live tracks, Brother Wolf, Sister Moon, and the very best version of Rain that I have ever heard. And it's exclusive.
Matt, if you're watching this, if you got that one, he's the biggest Cult fan I know. So
I need Capsule 2. I've never seen that
before.
I would love to get Capsule 2. Now, the DVD side is a piece of crap called Prelude to Ruins, some kind of weird abstract art movie that I've watched once. You know, the Cult were trying. This was during the period where albums had stopped selling. Everybody was downloading. The Cult were trying to throw together some way to get people to buy a physical product again. So they came up with this idea of doing capsules instead of albums. And they only ended up doing 2. Both of them, I believe, are dual discs, which, as you know, not all machines enjoy playing.
Yeah, some computers would crash and things like that.
This doesn't look rare at all. And I don't know how you tell the difference between this version and the version that you're most likely to buy on the store shelves. But at some point in the life of this CD, they edited down the track that Ozzy is on, which is called Nowhere to Run, featuring the Crystal Method with Ozzy, DMX, ODB, and somebody called Fuzz Bubble.
Okay.
This version has a really long rant at the end by ODB. You ain't never gonna antagonize me. You know, swear. Yeah. Mother. And it's like, it's kind of pointless, but we noticed working at the UCD store that version of the track disappeared later on. It's only on these really early versions of this album. And again, I don't know how to tell the difference just by looking. If I recall correctly, at the store, we had to put the CD in the player and play it to know whether it was the rare version or not.
Yeah, you'd have to go by the links to the tracks.
Right.
Okay, so that's similar. That's similar to my Signal story, but go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Canadian band.
Yeah.
Voivod, Negatron. This is a steel case. Limited to 750 pieces. It's the Negatron album, which I quite like. It's the first album with Eric Forrest on lead vocals. Comes with a sticker. And that's what the disc looks like. Their drummer, Away, does all their artwork. And he's one of my favorite. I think we probably talked about Away when we did my cover artist show. One of my favorite artists. Getting close to the end here, I promise. You've probably never heard of this band. Irish band called the Sultans of Ping FC. FC standing for Football Club.
Okay,
Casual Sex in the Cineplex. This is their debut album. And there's a story. This album was extremely hard for me to get. It's since been reissued in a 2 CD deluxe edition with all the B-sides. The story goes like this. In 1996, we closed the original branch of the record store where I worked and moved it to Cambridge, Ontario, where we reopened it in a brand new format. The original store was half used, half new. The new store was all used. And the boss bought CDs in bulk, you know, just boxes of CDs, as much as he could get to stock the store. And 2 guys, Trevor and Neil, were responsible for getting all these CDs, pricing them, putting them on the shelf, and getting the store ready to open. And they would just grab random ones to listen to. And they're like, well, these guys look interesting. Like maybe they're Britpop, like Blur.
Right.
They put it in, and it is not Britpop like Blur. It is really weird, funny, upbeat punk. My favorite song is a song called Where's Me Jumper? Guy misplaced his sweater. Opening lyrics, my brother knows Karl Marx. He caught him eating mushrooms in the People's Park. He said, what do you think about my manifesto? Love your manifesto. Put it to the testo. Fun lyrics. Back in a tracksuit. Love the titles. There's a song called Indeed You Are, but the way the guy sings it so fast, we thought it was Konnichiwa. Anyway, the story goes like this. Everybody loved it. It was fun to listen to. It made us laugh to listen to it. But there was only this one copy. We'd never seen it before. We decided there was a rule. Nobody is allowed to buy this CD. So we'd play it in the store all the time, but nobody was allowed to take it home. It was a communal CD. Well, the boss got pissed off one day and he said, guys, you can't have a CD that's not for sale. You have to put it on the shelf. So reluctantly, it went on the shelf. The logic being nobody's going to buy it. Nobody knows who that is. Until they hired a young fellow named Ian, who heard the CD while he was on his very first shift, not knowing the informal rule that nobody buys the CD. And, well, he bought the CD.
Yeah.
And it departed the store and was never seen again until my buddy Aaron found this and sent it to me. And I had it once again. But this was certainly one of my most rare CDs for many, many, many years. And finally, one more to show you. This is the very last one. I paid $300. I don't know what you've paid for any of your rarities, but I paid $300 for one item. This is not a box set. This is a double live album by a band called Marillion.
Okay.
As you can see, it's signed.
Yeah.
The story behind this album is when they released their album, This Strange Engine, in 1998, they, bands were struggling. They were not signed to a label at that time. And they
Is this the one they crowdfunded?
Yeah, they crowdfunded their tour. They crowdfunded their tour. And anybody who donated to the tour fund got mailed this.
Nice.
And I got one on eBay for $300 because I decided at one point that Marillion were going to be a band that I wanted everything from. And I've done a pretty damn good job. I could do an entire show on just my Marillion collection. But this is what we call a holy grail. And I saw it and I said to myself, this is an opportunity that is not going to arise very often. It's only money. I hit buy. My buddy T-Rev said, for that kind of money, this better be your favorite album of all time. And I wouldn't say that, but it's a damn good live album. It is a damn good live album. And to the band's credit, they have never reissued it, and they say they never will. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, so that won't lessen the value for those that do have it, which is a good thing.
Correct. Oh, shit. Speaking of lessened in value, the first Tea Party. I don't know if this is lessened in value because they just re-released this in a 2 CD deluxe that you can now buy at Walmart. But I actually own an original CD. Man, I had a lot.
I'm gonna grab this real quick. I had mentioned KeithHirsch.com is a really fun site for early CD pressings.
Yeah.
And that's the site where I first learned about Target CDs. I'm not talking about Target the store, but early WEA pressings that had like what looks like a gun sight on the CD itself. Some of those are very rare, including those Queen albums on Elektra and just, I don't have any of them. And there's another subset for Polygram. And I showed you the Gene Simmons one with a weird design on the CD, the Casablanca design. Since Polygram was owned by Philips, they were an early pioneer of CDs. So in 1983, if you were a gearhead and had money and had bought one of these newfangled CD players and you were a Rush fan, you could buy Moving Pictures and Signals on CD in 1983. Can't imagine what they would have cost you. But there are very rare versions of Moving Pictures and Signals, but kind of what you said for the South Park CD, you have to open up the case to find out. So this is my Signal CD. It's just a regular US Mercury pressing. Looks like that. Looks like that. Booklet just looks like that. And my CD is it's early, but not as early, the Mercury Atomic design.
Yeah, the Atom.
So what you need to look for is open up the CD, and it's called the Green Arrow variant. Okay. And KeithHirsch.com has it, and it's literally what it says. It's got this green arrow design on it. And the Moving Pictures CD is rare, but the Signals version is more rare. Huh. So that's my bit of PSA for Rush fans who have to have absolutely everything. And I can attest to what you're saying is that that fight you have with yourself over whether you're going to buy something. And I get teased about this to this day because I made the mistake of telling somebody. I missed out on a buy it now for Animalize on 8-track. I think I talked about that when I was on first promoting the book. And I wish I'd have just pulled the trigger on it and been done with it, but I didn't. And guess what? I still haven't found it again. Yeah. So, Aaron, find me Animalize on 8-track, buddy. Come on now.
If anybody can, it's him.
If anybody could do, yeah.
I mean, he found me the Sultans of Ping FC.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never heard of those. I've never heard of that band ever.
You know what, Tim? After we're done here, I'm going to send you one track. I'll email you a track, and I just want to get some feedback from you because I find them hilarious.
Right on. So, guys, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this lengthy, trip through our rare CD collections. What have you got out there that's rare? Have you, gotten rid of something that you regret? We want to hear from you. We want to hear the stories. Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you. I had a blast, man. I had a blast.
And we are going to, you'll see the two of us again in a couple weeks, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So
I hope so.
Thank you, everyone, for watching this edition of Tim's Final Confession.
This extended edition.
Yes, all the bonus tracks.